Namaste. Welcome to the Conscious Convo podcast. I am your host and teacher, Pippa Leslie. I'm here to share everything I learn, see, and channel. This podcast is for the conscious and curious beings who are ready to dive deeper into spirituality. I am so grateful you are here. Hi guys, welcome back. Happy New Year to you all. Again, I'm joined with Michelle from the Crystal Point, who is in Hamilton. So if anyone is local in Hamilton or in the Waikato area, please come down and see Michelle. She will help you with anything you need spirituality. I'm also here with Janet Thomson, who is an international clairvoyant. I'm excited to meet Janet today because I've heard Michelle chat about Janet, so I got to meet her in person, which was great. Janet is a part of the Crystal Point doing readings and healings, and is it the business mentorship you do as well?
Yes, I do.
Yeah,
yes.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
So we're actually going to stick to a topic today, which is new for me because I like just going off on tangents and letting the conversation flow. But I have been listening to people's comments and questions, so thank you for sending them. And I think with it being January, February, everyone's kind of setting up goals and, you know, the resolutions for the year, and it's good to talk about goal setting, and I know that's an area that Janet's really confident in and she's experienced in. And also Michelle is going to be talking about different crystals to use with goal setting, which I'm excited to learn about. So who wants to go first?
Shall I go first?
Yes, go for it, Janet. You want to introduce yourself to the audience?
So my name is Janet Thomson. I'm an international clairvoyant. I've been studying spiritual things since the 1970s, so that probably gives you some indication of my age. My whole life has been around helping people help themselves, as well as having the spiritual side of business. I am a physiotherapist, and the key thing for me is helping people help themselves and understanding that it is, and it relates to goals, a gradual process. So if someone came to me and said, I want to run a marathon, you say tomorrow, I say, well, there's a little bit that you have to do in between. And so it's looking at what a goal is. It's a feeling or an aspiration or something that you feel you want or need to do. And this is the time that we're looking at it. And so if it's something like a big goal, it means breaking it down into components and not to be afraid. One of my key things that I say often in most readings is planet Earth is about action. And when we start action, it doesn't matter what it is, we make a decision and we start the action, what happens is we get on an escalator and we do not know where the escalator is going. But the thing is to take action.
Yeah, I love that. I wanted to ask you as well, when it comes to goal setting, for me, it's always, I always used to get confused with, okay, I've got a goal, but what about manifestation? Because I was teaching manifestation for a while, a couple of years ago, and I was really into it after I watched The Secret, and I was like, oh, this is brilliant. And so I was always torn between the idea of, I have a goal, for example, you know, I want to bring 2 clients in, for example. I always used to get confused with what's the point in setting goals if it's already going to manifest into my life, if that makes sense.
Yes.
So I always used to think, oh, what's the point in setting goals then? But then I realised that the universe is like a menu, and I need to say, okay, what do you want to eat? It's like going to a restaurant, isn't it, and saying, I'd like some food. Well, what kind of food would you like? So I started to realise, oh, okay, so I can, you know, set goals and change goals, you know, change my mind. And I think that for me was living day by day, but also the action for me, you know, the law of action, you know, the law of cause and effect, all these different universal laws, which will be a different topic for a different day. But for actions and goal setting for me was taking inspired action, you know, because like if I had a goal and I just sat there and was like, okay, universe, send it to me. It doesn't feel motivating for me.
Doesn't work that way.
Yeah, I know. So that's why, like, for a while when I was a lot younger, I used to think, what's the point in setting goals if it was gonna come to me anyway? But then I started to realise, you know, having goals keeps you on that momentum of the escalator, you know, going up.
So if we look at the big picture simply about us as a soul, we're here to learn and grow through our experiences. And the way that we do that is by action. Now, much has been written about manifestation. So my belief system, what I've worked with, is that we're here, we're a soul, but we all have a team of spiritual helpers or guides. And their role is to help us, not to do it for us, but to help us. So when we set a goal or a desire, or we're in a situation where we need help, the key thing is to ask for help. And our spirit, doesn't matter the terminology we use, ask for help, be specific. Now, how I visualize, I'm a clairvoyant, how I see the universe is that it's the law of synchronicity. So we're all connected, and so we say, please help me, or I need this, and synchronicity works. And what we need to do then is, having said that, is then be aware. We've made a request, and working with spirit like this is wonderful. We only have to say it once. But then it's being aware that we're part of planet Earth. So it doesn't actually just manifest on our front doorstep. That would be really lovely.
That's kind of like what The Secret tells you. That's why I didn't agree with it.
But the synchronicity, and so it works with people. So it's be aware. You might meet someone, you might read a book, you could be anywhere. So it's increasing your awareness, and that's it's like, to me, it's how it operates.
Like self-awareness is key, because it's like you said, you meet new people, and that person could open a door to somewhere else. And the book is anything you read. Us having this chat today is all growth. It's just all part of the journey. And I think I don't set enough goals. And that's me being honest. I don't set enough goals. I have goals out loud that I'll say, I'd love to have this and I'd love to have that. For me, Janet, I think I'm very grateful for what I already have. So I think for when I add goals, I think, I could have all these nice things, but then I'm torn between just sticking to what I've got and just being grateful for having a lovely home and clothes on my back. And I think I wanted to ask you, with goal setting, do you believe that gratitude is a big part of goals?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it's about being happy. And the key thing again, if we don't feel like setting goals, then it's not part of us. And if I can say you're feeling, where you are and gratitude, but you're already living your goal, because it could be the next big pathway is your spiritual side of your business and what you're doing and your podcast, and that's moving. And in that respect, when we do that, we're moving into learning to working with what I call spirit's timing and our spiritual helpers, and that's a whole different pathway. So if we're not doing anything, don't give ourselves a hard time to say, people say you have to set goals. Don't give yourself a hard time. It's like looking at your life and saying, what is it I need? I don't need anything. Wow, this is really great. Well, what is it I want? And it comes into our consciousness. So rather than when it comes into our consciousness, it's our inner soul saying, well, how about this? And then we start the process.
Yeah, I love that. If someone was new to goal setting and this topic, what would be the advice you would give them for sitting down and writing some goals, or even thinking about their goals?
It would be just saying, what is it I want? What is it I need? It's that. If we're talking about goals, if it's like something I need, which has to do with food, health, the things we need in life. So do I need a different job? Do I need more of this? So it's looking at that. And then it's like saying is, well, what gives me joy? What makes me enthusiastic? And following that pathway may not be anyone else's, the newest piece of, whatever's going on, technology or all those things. But the key is tuning into ourselves and saying, what is it I feel? What is it I would like to do?
Yeah.
And that need is we have to take care of ourselves, and then there's the other side out there.
Yeah. Do you think belief is a big one too? Because talking about The Secret, I'm happy to talk about that, because for me, my opinion on The Secret was it's a great start off for people who are new to spirituality, and about being aware of your thoughts. And I watched it a long time ago. I watched it when I was about 7 years ago now, and I was like, oh my God, this is incredible. But as I move through spirituality, I look back at it and I think it's got great inspiration for people, but the underlying issue is it's not really what's happening. You're not going to think about $1,000 and it's just going to appear in your bank tomorrow, or whatever it is. So I think for people it can give them a bit of false hope, and that it's, for me, it's about belief that you are deserving of these goals and you are deserving of the things you want. The things you need are flat down what you need, your health and your food and your water and your warmth. But I think when it comes to things you desire, people desire different things in life. The Secret for me was a little bit far-fetched in people's beliefs, like you said, thinking of an elephant and it'll just, it made it like it was just going to be in your lounge that day. So yeah, what are your thoughts on that, Janet, for people setting goals and manifestation?
Well, if we come back, I said to my guide, there's so much and basically, so if we're looking at anything we want to do on planet Earth, it's about action, there are 3 facets to that, all right? And of everything that we do, there's time, money, and energy.
Yeah.
And they're the 3 facets. So, and these are the 3 questions if people are thinking about doing things to ask themselves. So time, am I prepared to put the time into this project? Or saying, how much time do I need? So it may be looking at someone changing their career or doing something. That's the big picture. So it's like saying, well, how long is it going to take? How that, what that, all that. Then it's saying, am I prepared to do that? So that's the first thing. The second is money, right? Everything costs money, most things. Am I prepared to put in the money required? So some people start projects, but they don't look at that and they think, oh no, I won't bother that, or I won't that. Or even, which is what I work with often, they're in a business and they say, oh no, I'm not going to do that, and that's like restricting. Whereas if you say, well, actually, if you do that or pay that promotion or that whatever it is in this day and age, then this is to help you achieve what your goal is. Now the other thing, the last thing, is energy. So it's how much, and it's looking at that. So we need to put the energy into it. What does that mean? So how much energy am I putting into it? So the idea, the perfect thing is if we're doing anything, we're putting 100% of ourselves into that. It means with joy and enthusiasm, or whatever term we're focused at thing, right? Now, some people put the time, and I can look at, the say study and university, and they do that and they've got that and the money and they're doing that. Energy, what sort of energy? If we do something with, I've got to do this today, or I'm not, so again, it's not being successful. And it's like basically that. And it's, if we're looking at pure goal setting, which is going after something that we need, these are the 3 factors to start with. The time, money, how much is it going to,
Yeah.
And if the money, if we think, oh well, I really need to do it, then the next stage is then you save up for it. So if we've got a fairly big goal, you can see that it creates the little ones to go towards that. You know, how am I going to do the time? Well, I need to do that, and that, and that. That's okay. Money, need to save that, and then the energy. Well, I'm working a 15-hour day, which people do in New Zealand now. 15-hour day. I don't think I've got much left over to. So it's all those things, but it comes around upon those 3 key things.
Yeah, I agree. As for energy, I was kind of picking up to be enthusiastic or inspiration. Like they say, inspiration is in spirit. You know, you've got to feel inspired to do something. I've set goals, and after a couple of months, I'm like, oh, like no. Like what you just said, like because I think as well for me, it's taught me patience. Because I think we, especially in this lifestyle now we live in, everything's fast paced. Next day delivery, you can fast food. You know, everything's so fast. And I think part of us want it now. We want this goal right now. And especially like when clients come to me and they want like, you know, to lose weight is a big goal. You know, for personal issues, they want to lose weight. And if it doesn't happen in a month, I mean, I've been there as well. If it hasn't happened in a month, I'm like, what's the point? Yeah, what's the point? But I think I know now a goal for me is a process. Like you've just said, Janet, it's like it's a process. Like, okay, I've set a goal, whatever it is. And anyone listening, you set a goal, and from today, when you listen to this, to whenever that goal materializes, however it's meant to materialize, that time in between is going to blossom you in so many ways, especially with the action that you take, the people you meet, the books you read, you know, the lectures you go to, whatever it is. And I think that's in itself part of the goal, because it helps you to become a better person.
Yeah, because goals are just to help us live our life purpose. And our life purpose isn't what we do, it's about learning spiritually. And people, they talk about pathways, but if you imagine like a life purpose is 10 kilometers across. You know, we've come here 10 kilometers across, and we start on that, and there's a little direct pathway, and then there's one off to the left and one right. We go round the bushes and we go
that's how I see it.
We're going ahead all the time. And everything in, and we go there and we meet someone along the way. So but it's looking at that sort of bigger picture, and it comes back to understanding ourselves, growing spiritually, healing ourselves, moving into a level of gratitude, of self-love, being love, all those acceptance. Right, if I accept myself, self-acceptance and other people, all those things. So they're the things that we're learning as we go on, and we do this by doing our goals. Yeah, it's looking at and don't ever feel that we've failed a goal or failed something. There's a reason that we did it. Yeah, and it could be just learning a skill or meeting one person. Or developing an action. So don't ever feel that you have failed. Yeah. Right? Because look at things from that spiritual point of view of listening. Yeah. You know. And people say, you know, am I living my life purpose?
It's a big question.
And they say, my response is, if you are still breathing, you are.
Yeah. People feel like a purpose is something you pick up. Now I have my purpose. And I say, no, purpose is living day by day.
Absolutely.
Like, there's a great Disney movie, because you all know I love Disney.
Me too.
That's called Soul. And Soul really helps to bring that message across so beautifully. Like, you know, I do hypnosis, and one of the questions they ask subconscious is, what's my purpose? And most times it's the answer in a basic point of view. You are living your purpose. If you're living how, you know, if you're aligned to who you are and you're becoming more self-aware, living is purpose. You know, finding what you want to do in life, you know, that's a spark. That's something you want to do with your life, with what, you know, your time here. But purpose for me is getting up every day and living with purpose. you're living with that purpose in your own life. So with goal setting, I think it's kind of pushing me to be more like, I want to go and sit in nature today and just write some goals down now. Like, I feel like that's my inspiration now. But moving into that area. So Michelle.
Yes.
Hi.
Hello.
When it comes to goal setting, like, we like to have, for me, for example, when I used to do my goal setting, I'd have to have my space set up, my sage lit, candles lit, my nice rug on the floor, and my new book, my new pen. It was always about having it all perfect. And now I'm like, I just pick up whatever I can, and I just, whatever I can do. Now, when it comes to crystals, 'cause I know that's your area, what kind of crystals would you recommend having for goal setting?
Well, one of the first crystals I ever brought was clear quartz, and I found that one is really, really good. Either clear quartz or some selenite for your clarity and your concentration.
Yeah.
But me too, like, I often, go to sleep at night and I'd get a download from my guides and that, and it's like, hang on a second, I'd tell them, wait, if it's important, remind me in the morning. And then my, like, short-term goal setting was getting that download. As soon as I woke up in the morning, it's like, bing, it's like someone turned the light switch on and they started talking to me. And I'm like, well, let me get a piece of paper first. So for basic short-term goals, I didn't set up a special spot or anything. I would just try and find a peaceful area. Like, if everyone else was still in bed, it's like even better.
Yeah.
Or I'd go outside, sit on the step and just pen and paper and just start writing whatever they were telling me, because often I'd get this information and if I didn't write it down, you'd forget. And it's like, oh, I should have. So, short-term goal-wise, usually, like for the to-do list for the day, what do I need to get done? I just often get the messages when I wake up in the morning.
Yeah. And
just go with that. But if you're really wanting to set your goals, your intentions for the year, then it's better to have an area, set it up, time, day, when you're going to be less disturbed, and actually properly set your intentions for the year. Yeah. So definitely I'd put more into it if it was looking for the year ahead rather than just day to day. Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
I think as well, would you ever consider like going with crystals that you're drawn to as well for certain goals? Because years ago when I hired my first business coach, it was always about putting the goals into categories, like business, personal, spiritual. Yes. So, if you were moving into that, would you have different crystals for each of those, would you think?
You could do, yeah, and everyone's different. I mean, the way I work is I think about what is it I'm wanting, what's my outcome, what am I driving towards, and I often get a picture or a word in my head and that tells me what I need. Other people, it may be just playing with some crystal cards. Yeah. And if you don't like choosing, just keep shuffling them.
That's a good idea. Yeah.
One falls out.
Yeah, I never thought about that actually. Well, you've actually reminded me as well. I've got about 30 different oracle decks in my drawer. Tarot, Oracle, Angel. Yeah. And I said to Chris, my husband now, I said, we haven't done our cards. Like we used to just draw. I mean, we were separated for 18 months. So that kept us going with a little bit of insight. And I think sometimes if you are having that mental block with goals, like a lot of people, and you'll probably agree, Janet, and you, Michelle, is that people don't really know what they want. No. They think they know what they want. And one of my little bits of tips and advice is really sit with yourself and what is it you want, not what your neighbour wants and your partner wants, or you've got to introduce your family and have your family involved, but your friends, and you kind of get swayed. Yes. From what it is you truly want. And I think especially with all the comparison online, social media, and we can get swayed and we think we want these things, and when they actually arrive in our lap we go, oh, I didn't really know. But some things that I've really truly wanted, I've arrived and I've been like overwhelmed with gratitude and emotion. So I think there's that element to it as well of what is it you truly, truly, truly want. And use crystals to meditate, I would say, like to meditate with your intention. And for me, I would visualize, I'd do like a future self visualization of, seeing myself in a year or 5 years, and what did I look like? What was my energy like? How was I speaking? What was in my life? And that really helped me to get excited over what it was what I wanted in my life.
Yeah. And a really good thing to do too is to notate, journal, write things down. It's really interesting to look back and go, oh, okay, that happened a year ago, or whatever was the case at the time. But this morning I was thinking, what we talked a couple of days ago and thought of the topic and that, and I'm like, I need to get prepared for this. And my guides were kind of telling me, don't, it's okay, it'll come in time. And I'm one that likes to be prepared days in advance.
Yeah.
And I'm like, but. And it's like, just go with the flow. And it's like, okay, all right, no pressure. Got to do meal prep, got to organise the family.
Yeah.
It'll come. So this morning I said to Trevor, right, I've chosen my books with the information. As soon as we get to work this morning, I am, reading and writing and putting together my notes. So doing something on the day is really unusual for me.
Yeah.
It's usually I panic, but now I feel much more calm in my life, moving up in my energy, that it wasn't a problem. And so I actually asked my guides this morning, I says, okay, so what crystals do we want for this year? What's going to help? And the very first one they showed me was citrine.
Yeah.
So, citrine, it's always been known as the abundance crystal, but what does abundance mean to you? It doesn't necessarily mean money.
Yeah.
Some people, they want more family time or better health. So citrine is not all just about abundance, it's also your success crystal and your motivation one. So helping us to the next step. And then I got one of my books. I thought, I don't have my crystal cards. I've taken them all to the shop. So, okay, I've got crystal books. So, all right, okay, let's flip through and see where it lands. So it landed on moss agate, and tree agate actually. And when I think of tree agate, I think, well, I incorporate tree and moss as very similar crystals. Yeah. I'm like, okay, so what does that mean? So when you look at tree or moss agate, it talks about helping on a spiritual level with your immune system. So a lot of us will need that from what's been going on in the last couple of years. It also is said to help with self-esteem and the stone of new beginnings. So that's kind of made sense. And then I'm like, okay, the next page I turned to talked about stitch-tite and purpurite. And I'm like, well, how do I choose? Which crystal are you talking about? And I think the stitch-tite, well, yes, when I was looking on the internet yesterday doing some purchasing for the shop, stitch-tite was popping up. And then when I started typing some notes, purpurite wanted to be shown. I'm like, oh, okay, well, you can have more than one crystal. So purpurite is a stabilising stone said to help with exhaustion. May also offer protection from radiation. So we have a lot of that going on, especially if we're working around computers. And it's said to be a rejuvenating stone. So that's our good old purpurite. And then when you look at stitch-tite, it's normally found in a combination, so stitch-tite and serpentine, which is also known as atlanticite. So this gem is really good for supporting manifesting your true self and living in accordance with your soul contract for your present life, keeping your mind open and opinions and emotions on track for your well-being. So I thought, well, now I understand why stitch-tite wanted to show for today. It's all along the path of what we're talking about.
Yeah.
But I mean, they're just a handful of crystals that came to me.
Yeah.
And whether they relate or touch with someone who's listening, or if there's another crystal that shows itself to you, there's no right or wrong, because all crystals are healing.
Yeah. Yeah.
So whatever you choose for yourself for this year is the right crystal.
Two things. You can actually use a crystal as like a gratitude rock, like, in the magic book from Rhonda Byrne. Pick a crystal and you can have that as like your crystal. Put your goals into that crystal. It's like your baby rock, so you keep it with you at all times. And what I got from what you said, Michelle, is that setting goals, it's all about setting goals and having this dream life that you want. But what if you're not eating healthy and being healthy and exercising and getting out in nature, and you're not looking after yourself? Your energy's going to be low. You're not going to feel motivated to want to manifest anything, to set any goals, to do meditation. You know, it's like it's a whole package, isn't it? Your spirituality, your mental, you know, and your physical. And so I think for me personally, I would say, you know, when you are setting goals, look at your goals of your health, look at your goals of your sleep, look at your goals of eating and your sugar and all this, and we can all be better. You know, I'm trying to cut sugar out. I've actually stopped bread and pasta. That's one of my goals for the year. I feel loads better for it, and because I'm gluten free.
Oh yeah.
I was reading a book, Medical Medium, about, you know, different things, and
it's good.
And I couldn't drink the celery juice. I just can't. I'd have to mix it with something. Oh God, I tried it and I said, I can't do this. I'd probably put apple in it or something. But it just got me thinking about, I'm really into my health at the moment and really going deeper into it.
Try frozen mango. I've got a recipe using spinach and cucumber, and it puts mango into it.
Oh yeah,
that was my breakfast this morning, and I really enjoyed it because I started doing smoothies with fruits. Yeah, and then I would get headaches, so I realised that I couldn't. It was too much sugar. Yeah. So I changed to veggie juices, but it has frozen mango.
That's what I've been doing. I've been put cucumber in. I put spinach in most of mine as well. And I think I love smoothies. But, you know, even think about that in your goal setting is, okay, I'm setting these amazing goals to, you know, to manifest my business and this and that. But what about your health? What about you? You know, are you looking after you? Because if you're not happy and content in yourself and you know, your own journey, when these goals arrive, you're going to be like, yeah, you know, it's like you want to stay elevated. That you can't have high vibe all the time, but you want to feel good about yourself.
Yes, and don't sabotage yourself either. Yeah. I remember, last year I kept going, next year I'm going to start yoga. Yeah. And then I was trying to work out all the ways I could sabotage myself so I didn't have to do it. Yeah. Right down to the first few minutes before the first class started. Yeah. And then afterwards, I went to my first class the other morning, 6 o'clock in the morning.
Well done.
And I kept trying. I just did. I kept trying to sabotage myself through the entire thing.
Make excuses and
everything. Like, oh, I've got the wrong date. Oh, I've got the wrong time. Oh no. Yeah. But then I did it, and I felt so much better for it.
You do. I started Pilates on Monday, and big goal for me is to get my body stronger for when I have a baby, especially hips and things like that. And now it's like it's given me purpose. Because I'm like, it's not just about me, it's about my future offspring. It's about, you know, having my body in a state of, so that's a goal for me. And that gives me excitement.
You can't just flick the magic wand and think and turn the switch on and it's done.
Like, I'm going to be carrying a child at one point, you know, my first ever. And I want my body to be in the best state for that child, like that baby, because she or he's choosing me in this lifetime for his or her own journey. So I want to be my best self. Physically, spiritually, mentally. And I made some promises at my wedding, so that, you know, my little promise for the vows, and that gives me purpose and that gives me drive. Nice. So I think it, like you said, with these different things, Michelle, is like it's not just about sitting down today and writing goals. It's actually looking at your whole life in a nutshell, you know, and seeing how your health is, what are your relationships like.
It's understanding that it comes back to ourselves, and it's not selfish. Yeah. It's looking at that respect, and we do need to take care of our health, our own needs, all that sort of thing. And then the next, and is looking at the fact that spiritual development, whatever term you use, developing yourself is a need. Yeah. And it doesn't matter what we believe in, what terminology, it's about knowing us about our actions. Yeah. Being kind, generous, gratitude, serving, loving, service, all that's what it comes down to.
It's just that for me, a big goal of mine is to serve. Like, I always wake up every day and say, how can I serve today? And that's what I loved about Neil on the podcast when I interviewed Neil Donald Walsh. His first thing he said on the podcast was, how may I serve you today, Pippa? And I was like, oh my God, it's making me like cry already. Like, because that's what I asked myself every morning. I just say to God, the universe, source, like, how can I serve today? And it doesn't need to be massive extravagant things. It can be little tiny things, like even doing this is me serving, you know. It's just,
but it's not even doing this.
It's just,
it's not thinking about the bigger picture, but it's just that understanding. Yes.
Are there any other things you wanted to bring up? Because I know you had some notes with you. And I want you to get them all down. So your research has gone down well.
Well, I'll put this on our website as well, so if people want to go back to it. But so basically using crystals to set your intentions. So most people believe crystals are alive, and whether we believe that or not, they do carry the spirit of the crystal. So they have like crystal divas or stone spirits in them. So if you're doing your intentions for 2023, so firstly, write down your intentions. Be really clear about what you want. Remember, sky's the limit.
Mm-hmm.
And be true to yourself. Before you start speaking it out loud, make sure that if you're using crystals that they're cleansed, that your space is cleansed, that you are cleansed, that if you're unsure, use white sage. And just choose a time of day when you're not going to get interrupted. Visualize, one way of doing it is visualizing the negative energy leaving and going up to the universe and being transmuted, and seeing positive energy coming back. So when I'm preparing, one thing I do is through breath, I breathe in and up to spirit any negative energy that I want to get rid of. And then I breathe out and bring through myself and into the room any positive energy that I want to be around me. So you can do that with crystals as well, by holding them and just visualizing negative going up to source to be transmuted and positiveness coming back. So my feeling is that if you're going to remove some energy, you need to input energy. So just replacing it with positive. And I usually do that for about 4 or 5 breaths, just to make sure it also helps ground and balance me as well. So we need to show gratitude and appreciation to our crystals, as we do to ourselves. And to me here at the Crystal Point, it's like being in a pet shop, and the crystals are in our care until they find their forever homes.
Yeah.
So we respect them by keeping ourselves and the shop cleansed. But going back to setting your intentions, remember also that crystals are like cats. You never ever own them. So this is why they roam from time to time and move on when we've finished.
You lose them at times.
You lose them? Yeah, absolutely. So when you're holding your crystal, so we've got our room set, we're ready to set our intentions. Hold on to your crystal. Say something along the lines of, I am grateful for this crystal in my care. I intend to use it with love and light for the highest good of all. And then you can add in to this your goals or desires and the purpose for choosing that crystal. From here, once you've set your intentions, use that crystal for meditating with and going deeper into your desires and your intentions. And actually visualize and see yourself reaching your goals. Feel how great the energy is around you. And remember, the difference between a goal and a dream, as I was once taught, is putting a date on it and defining it. The clearer you see the end result, the sooner you can have it.
Yeah, I love that. That's what we got taught in manifestation, about the date and the, being specific.
Yes.
With goal setting.
Can I just say one other thing about crystals? My whole life has been about people, right? But I've learned about crystals with being involved with Michelle. However, it's important to understand that the crystals that we have, we don't have to go out and buy lots. It's looking around at what you have and choosing what you have, and they will be the one that you need.
Yeah.
And I wasn't into crystals, and I was in Africa in the early 70s, and there they had malachite. And I bought an amethyst, and they've stayed with me, and they were just pretty.
Yeah.
I thought, and it's just realizing that the power of them.
Yeah.
So whatever crystals, whatever you have in your home, you don't have to think, oh, before I can do that, I have to go out and buy the right crystal. Right? So that's another thing. You just look at, say, what have I got, and choose it from there.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
And
it's
do all the things that
nurturing
Michelle
what you
said.
have.
Yes.
Yeah, just activating it because it probably hasn't been activated.
Yeah. Lying dormant like a volcano.
Yeah, waiting till the day you're ready to work with it.
It's like looking at you saying, choose me today, please.
Yes. Did
you have any extra information you wanted to share about goals, Janet, or would you want to leave it there?
No, I'll leave it.
Yeah, it was a good chat. It was really good. I loved it. And I really hope you enjoyed this episode, guys. I've enjoyed it. I'm quite motivated now. I'm doing a walk this afternoon, so I'm going to take my notebook and do a bit of writing and do some gratitude, because one thing I used to do every night that I don't do anymore was gratitude every night before bed.
Yes.
And to be honest, writing wasn't a big thing for me. Like, I'd like writing, but sometimes it's just about picking a crystal up next to your bed and just holding it and holding it and saying, I'm grateful for da 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 da. And that can be, if you've read The Magic, Rhonda Byrne, I really highly recommend you do. You know, she talks about the gratitude rock, so you can use a crystal for that, I presume. Could you pick any crystal for that, I would say? Yeah.
Whatever you feel drawn to.
Yeah, and I think that's good. Have crystals under your pillow, because I've started doing that as well. It's really good. I just think I'm getting more into crystals. I never really appreciated them until the last few months. After I think Michelle's like a spark. Yes. Like, you meet Michelle and you start going, oh, crystals, oh. We went to Crystal Castle in Byron Bay in Australia, and they've got crystals everywhere. Wow. And it was unbelievable. And the kids were picking them, and it was just, it was really good. The kids love it. So I will put all the information of how to find Janet on the show notes. As you all know, Michelle is sponsoring the podcast, which is incredible. So all of her details are on the show notes anyway. If you need to reach out to her, she's on Instagram and Facebook. Janet, are you on Instagram and Facebook? Facebook. Yeah, cool. And I'm sure you've got a website. Yeah. No, are you on the website with Michelle? Yeah, yes. You're on there, yeah. So I'll put the link to Janet, who's on Michelle's website. But if you have any questions for today's episode, guys, please reach out to any of us. If you've got any questions for Janet and Michelle and you can't find them, send it to me and I will pass it on to them. So I'm just so glad to meet another person on the podcast.
Thank
I hope
you
you've enjoyed
much.
it.
Yes,
Yeah. Namaste, guys. Have a great day. Bye.
Thank you.